What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where we are going to take you through all the latest talking points surrounding our beloved Liverpool Football Club. Today was the day the club officially released their new kit. We're going to ask you guys for your opinion on it, of course. We're going to be talking about transfer links in and out of the football club, and of course, lots of other bits and pieces. We're going to be asking, are Manchester City really sending out threatening legal letters to those who talk about how many charges they have against them? And of course, anything else that you guys want to go through tonight. You know the drill. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get through it. So, I hope you're all good. I know the Premier League games and Europa League semi-finals on as I go live, but I do appreciate that you're here with us. And I have a lot to go through today, but I want to just say my hellos as always, as we do. Chelsea beating Spurs, said Zop. It's nice to not have to worry about the next game, but I wish I was worried, said Steve Aldersley. Yeah, it's a weird end of the season, Steve, isn't it? You know, it feels weird. You know, 3 games to go, 2 of them at home, and nothing really to play for other than pride, and I guess some of these players are playing for their positions and their spots in the team next season. But yeah, look, it's starting to get a bit interesting though. But regards to transfers, we are seeing a bit of a clearer picture emerging. But one thing that seems to confuse a lot of people, and it definitely confuses me, is the talk of who's making these signings. So we've talked about players, for instance, Coop Miners. A lot of articles doing the rounds to say that Slot wants Coop Miners as his first signing. But we know that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are going to be the ones making those decisions. So how big of an input will Arne Slot realistically have to Liverpool's transfer policy? Harry said, thank you for doing a live stream today, Craig. Been a bad day. It's not been a great day in the Houlden household either, buddy, but I am glad to be on here with you guys as always, highlighting my day to come on and chat with you good people about all things Liverpool related. So thank you for being in with us, mate, and I hope your day gets a little bit better. Evening Craig said, Loisos, or Loisos, how are you, my friend? Welcome in. Right, so on the Arne Slot stuff, I really would like to know what you guys think about it. Like, I don't know how much sway he's going to have on transfers. I'd like to think he can suggest a player or two, but ultimately the whole point of him coming in as just the head coach is that Richard Hughes will make those decisions around transfer policy and will bring in players that they think are best suited to the system. Will this cause trouble down the line between Slot and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes? I guess only time will tell. But what I've seen a lot of over the past day or two is a lot of negativity. So the likes of Graham Souness, as an example, has been speaking about, would Arne Slot come in as basically a sacrificial lamb? Has he got big problems to come in and deal with inside that Liverpool dressing room? It is amazing to me how just over the course of a few weeks we can go from talking about a club that are in a great position, fighting on all fronts, to suddenly something not being right. It's very confusing, and I really don't know what to believe at this point. Do I think that there have been disagreements behind the scenes of the club at points? Yeah, probably. But I would say that's the same at any club. But what we do know for certain is Jurgen's departing, and we're going to have a new structure in place. Well, not so much a structure, but we're going to have a new system in place that will see Slot come in just as a head coach to work on the training ground, pick the team, and he won't be interfered with. But I still don't know how much, if any, sway he's going to have over transfers. So, do I think Coop Miners is a Michael Edwards type signing? Not really. Not at 26 years of age. But, I guess, he's still being linked, so a lot still remains to be seen. Late in, catch up please, only joking. Good, I'm glad you're only joking there, because I was about to say we're only 4 minutes into the stream, but not really time for a catch-ups just yet. Dark Ruby VOD said, I'm glad to be a part of this Anfield Agenda family. Thank you, and we're glad to have you with us. Thank you for your membership. You've been with us 4 months there. Really do appreciate it. Get up out of it, Craig, said Aaron. I love it. Proper Dublin slang there, mate. Well in. Right, so Harry said, I think naturally he will get a say in transfers. Maybe he puts names forward, and if Edwards and Hughes approves the players as a fit, then the player will be signed. I would like to think, Harry, he has some say. You know, I would like to think he has some say in it, because it'd be a bit weird if you came into a club and all of a sudden players were thrown at you that you don't rate. You'd have to think that he would at least be involved or part of that transfer committee, albeit he might not have necessarily the final say. Did anyone hear that Harry Redknapp said Steven Gerrard should have been the next Liverpool manager? Yeah, I really don't want to take the opinions of Harry Redknapp into consideration here. Harry Redknapp's a great footballing person, but there's no way Steven Gerrard deserves to be the next Liverpool manager. I think most of us, if not all of us, would agree on that one. So look, I want to talk about the Liverpool shirt for a second. So I'm going to bring up the new shirt on screen. Bear with me. And we're going to see what you guys think about this one. So let me just bring this up, drag it up a little bit bigger there beside me, and move it over to here. So, my friends, that is the official new Liverpool kit for this upcoming campaign. I want to know your thoughts on it. To me, it is quite simply an abomination. I think it is disgusting. And the price of it, well, that's a whole another conversation. So let's come to the price of it now and see what James Pearce has been saying about the new Liverpool kit for the season. Well, firstly, prices have gone up. Shock, horror. But James Pearce has been at pains to say that this price increase is down to Nike and not down to Liverpool Football Club. So the standard adult shirt is up 6.7% from £75 to £80. So that's just for the regular stadium version of the shirt. The youth shirts are again up 9.2%. So if you want a shirt for your young child now, not an infant, but your young child, you're going to have to fork out £60, which is up from the previous £55. But the biggest increase of all came from the infants kit. And this is the one for me that particularly disgusts me. Infants kits are now gone up a whopping 15.7%, meaning if you would like to deck your infant out in an official Liverpool kit, it is going to cost you an eye-watering £52. That is an increase from £45 previously, and the biggest increase of all the prices. Now, as James Pearce tweeted, he said, Liverpool insist it's down to Nike cranking up the cost of prices that they're selling the new Liverpool kit. Liverpool are below Nike's recommended retail price. So, to some extent, I understand what James Pearce and Liverpool are saying there, but for me, I like to think of it this way. They can talk about Nike being the ones putting the prices up, but ultimately Liverpool chose Nike as their shirt manufacturer. So for me, the buck stops with FSG, and this is just another example of greed, in my opinion. Asking fans to cough up £80 for the basic stadium home shirt, and it looking like that is nothing short of a disgrace, in my opinion. It is a disgusting shirt. I'm sure you've seen it on the players as well. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. For me, I think that is probably the worst home shirt that we've seen since Nike's come in to make Liverpool's kits. Can you show us the Manscaped package that you have, if possible? Yes, I will in a while, mate. They're not the sponsors of this stream, but I have the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, mate. I can tell you what it consists of. It's got the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's got the Weed Whacker 2.0. It's got the Boxer Briefs, the Shed Travel Bag, the 2 liquid formulations, and a few other bits and pieces inside the box as well. And it's all packaged and presented very nicely. So, to get back to the jersey, what are we saying? Are you going to be buying it? Actually, I'm gonna ask a poll. That's the easiest way. So, do you like the new home shirt? For me, it's a massive no. I hate it. But then again, I'm pretty boring when it comes to kits that I like. So I'm going to start the poll. I'm going to ask you, do you like the new Liverpool home shirt? Yes or no? I'm going to leave that poll running in the background. I actually really like the kit, but €80, it's £80, Padraig. You wish it was €80, bro. £80 is going to be the price of it. I think it's horrible. I don't understand what they're trying to do with the collar. Like, what is it? Where does it go? Apparently it's a Rome 84 inspired shirt, but do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the Adidas 1996 home shirt that looked like it had a cricket collar to some extent? That's what it looks like it's trying to be to me, but at least that one, the collar met each other in a V pattern. I don't know what the collar on the new shirt is all about, in all honesty. It just looks weird. Craig, does the away kit look better? Not really. The away kit's going to be the one that has the sideways Nike tick on it. I don't like any of the kits this season. The goalkeeper's kit isn't actually too bad. The black and white one that Alisson will be wearing. Dr. Mohammed Wasim said it's a shit kit, and I agree. Worst shirt since the dreadful one for the 96 Cup final, said Finty Tin. Yes, and to the fans, go to the Liverpool shop and buy them. Well, I would say this, Lee. Go to whatever shop selling them the cheapest. That's genuinely what I would say. I think in these type of things, loyalty should go out the window because it's your hard-earned money at the end of the day. So I've got to be honest, dude. If I was looking to buy the home shirt for my son and it was cheaper in Sports Direct, then Sports Direct is where I'd be going to buy it because the prices are just ridiculous as it is. So every penny you can save, I think, is important. The collar's a bit goofy, said Padraig Quinn. Do you think the reason we've signed for Adidas is this price hike? I really don't know because, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Adidas are going to be the white knights in this, riding in to save us from Nike. I'm sure Adidas are going to have a fairly expensive set of kits themselves, so we'll wait and see on that one. But what I will say is, I just don't like the look of it. I think it's an ugly shirt, and I don't think it's one that is going to be that successful, in all honesty. But as I said, I'm a bit of an old fogey on these things. It will grow on me. I don't think it will. There's a couple of aspects. I'm going to bring it back up so I can talk about it more. There's a couple of aspects about this I don't like, right? Firstly is the colour. We can talk about that. And then we've got this new trend of stitching across the shoulders. And the very basic that I expect here is for the pinstripes to match up. But they don't. Even look at the pictures of Trent and McAllister and everybody in the new shirts. They're not lining up. It just looks cheap and like it's an afterthought. It really is poor from Nike, in my humble opinion. And I can't wait to get back to Adidas because, for me, I haven't really liked the Liverpool kits all that much since the New Balance ones. I think they were really good, but Nike have had a few decent ones. But look, this price is ridiculous. To be charging £52 for an infant's kit, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely scandalous in my opinion. Who's that model? No idea. I think it's one of the Nike models, mate. Will we wear it for the remainder of the season? What usually happens is that Liverpool would wear them for the last home game of the campaign. So I would imagine it will be for the Wolves game, Jurgen's final one. That's normally what we do. We wear the new home kit for the last home game of the season. I honestly don't think the new kit is that bad. The colour is pretty off, though. I don't... Look, it is a personal preference. I'm not going to tell you I'm right, you're wrong. Kits are always like that. It's a personal preference. But what I can't be accepting, again, is in a cost of living crisis, the greed from Nike, putting the shirts up another £5. We all know how much these shirts cost to make, and it isn't very much. So it's quite disgusting that you can see a price increase to £80 for the stadium shirt, and that's before you get into the more expensive player version, which I'm sure if you stuck a name, a number and a few badges on it will go up well in excess of £100 sterling. Not a fan of Adidas, but will be looking forward to the retro shirts and Michael Williams. Yes, I'm right with you on that one, Michael. I can't wait, dude, to get some of those retro shirts, be it the 88, 89. It doesn't matter. Pick whatever one you like. For me, I can't wait. And that's probably where I'll end up spending the majority of my money, to be honest with you, is on the retro shirts. I missed the full badge, said Lisa. Yeah, there's been lots of talk, Lisa, about the badge. I don't mind the Liverbird with LFC, to be honest, but I really did like the centenary badge, if you remember that from the 1992 shirt. My dad will be getting me one in Turkey, said 55X. And look, on that actually, this is just going to drive more people, more parents to do what exactly you've said there yourself. Get one from Turkey, get one off DHgate or one of these other sites. And it's just greed. There's no other reason for it. It's just plain greed from Nike. And I don't like this Liverpool pointing the finger at them and saying, oh, it's down to Nike putting the prices up. You pick them as your commercial partner. So the buck stops with FSG and the club, in my opinion, on this. And yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be doing what you've said, being creative about how they buy them. Right, it is. I know the stream isn't about it, but has Slot been confirmed? No, still no official word from the clubs on that, and I wouldn't mind getting some clarification on when we can expect the announcement, because I'm more intrigued about what the announcement about Arne Slot is going to look like. So normally when a new coach comes in, They'll come in, they'll have all the Liverpool logos behind them, they'll do the press conference and they'll be presented as the new Liverpool manager. But I can't imagine that's what Liverpool are going to do when Jurgen Klopp is still here at the club. So my guess is one of two things will happen. You'll either see a picture of Michael Edwards shaking hands with Arne Slot somewhere neutral, with a little attached video probably from Arne Slot talking about being delighted to become the next Liverpool coach. I would imagine it looks something like that. And then we'll get the press conference, of course, in the summer when we've all said goodbye to Jurgen. And yeah, I mean, that's it. But it has been teased that it could be this week, and we're all just waiting around. I'm even afraid to take a day off because, now my luck, as soon as I take a day off, Liverpool will make the announcement. It'll grow on you all like the green did. I don't think it will on this one, mate. For me, it's just about the colour more than anything else. I just don't know what the hell that colour is. So look, we've talked about Slot a little bit. We've talked about the kit. Now let's get into the real talk of today's show. The transfers. And I want to start off with... actually an injury update, sorry. So, good news today came from David Lynch, who confirmed that Conor Bradley is back in training, meaning hopefully he will be in contention for the Spurs game this weekend. And I would like to see him put straight back into the starting team, if I'm being honest with you. But with regards to transfers, a couple of things today. We'll start off with some potential outgoings first. So Sam Maguire tweeted out something he called an exclusive, and he said, Joe Gomez is weighing up his options this summer. The versatile Liverpool defender is open to leaving Liverpool. Now, I was thinking about this for a couple of minutes, and Joe signed a contract extension not too long ago. And of course, this is absolute guesswork. But I wonder, is it the links with Geertruida? You know, somebody who is equally as versatile as Joe Gomez, can play full-back, centre-back, or in defensive midfield. Have these links maybe worried Joe? Because whatever we think about Gomez being a starter, I think we, or at least I hope we'll all agree that we would have been in bigger trouble this season without Joe's versatility. And he has been really important to us to be able to field 11 players in their positions this season. I mean, we've been in big trouble without Joe. So a little bit worrying to hear Sam Maguire saying that Joe was weighing up his options. Now, the other transfer topic with potential outgoings comes from Paul Gorst, who said, there are some around the AXA training centre who have openly discussed the prospect of losing Luis Diaz. Now, I'm starting to get a bit annoyed about the Diaz situation, if I'm being really honest with you. Look, for me, I've always said this and I'm going to maintain it. Liverpool Football Club is no stepping stone. Liverpool Football Club is the peak, for me, of your career. So if Luis Diaz or anybody else wants to leave Liverpool Football Club, I would hope that the club will facilitate that. Of course, you're going to have an offer that works for Liverpool Football Club, but I think Diaz or anybody else who may want to head for pastures new will soon find out that the grass isn't always greener. And if Luis Diaz does get a move away from the football club, I think Liverpool will get a fairly hefty fee for it. I just don't know of any club that have put their money down on the table and shown that interest for Lucho. We know his dad has spoken about Barcelona quite a bit, but Barcelona have financial issues, so where will he go? I'm a bit surprised with the Gomez one, in all honesty. And again, this is just a post from Sam to say that Gomez is weighing up his future. Nothing definitive here. But I wonder how you guys feel about both of those. The Joe Gomez situation and, of course, the Lucho Diaz situation. Thank you for the super sticker, mate, or the super chat. Not so sneaky Pete. You didn't put a comment in, bro, but appreciate you. We'll get to Olise and all that stuff in a few minutes, by the way. I know a lot of people are looking to move on to Olise, but I just want to talk about these two players for a second, because when we've been speaking about potential outgoings from Liverpool over the last few weeks, we've mainly focused on the three big contract renewals that are up, which will be Mohamed Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Virgil van Dijk. So if we lost Lucho, as an example, it would be a lot of upheaval to then potentially lose Mo. So these are worrying. And I don't want the narrative around Liverpool to become negative before Arne Slot even comes in. The club were so good to his family when they were kidnapped, which is sad, said DKH96. Love the snip. I don't know what that's about. Lucho's father is pushing stories again. Go ahead and leave them. How do I get the cartoon? Craig, I don't know what you mean by that. How do I get which cartoon? 442s made the one at the start, if that's what you're asking about. If Diaz goes, buy Isak, Nico Williams would really transform our club, said Trevor. Both those have been strongly linked, Trevor. And look, I really do like the idea of Alexander Isak. I do. I think he'd be brilliant at Liverpool, but I just don't know the likelihood of us being able to go in there and get him from Newcastle. If Newcastle are willing to sell, I'd like to think we'd be in the conversation. Craig, have you heard that Girona have been accused of financial irregularities and will be reported to UEFA? What a surprise. Well, I guess yes, I have, and I have some information on that here, so I guess I can speak about it a little bit, and then we'll move on to another topic, which is Manchester City apparently sending out some letters. So let's start off with this one. So Mundo Deportivo have said Girona have been accused of financial irregularities as part of their deal to sign Artem Dovbyk last summer. I don't know too much more on it. All I can tell you is that they are part of the Manchester City or the City group of football clubs, and let's see how this one plays out. Now, on the Manchester City situation, I'm sure you've probably seen this on social media today, but it seems as if, or at least it's been reported, that Manchester City have sent out some legal letters. Let me just give you a bit more insight on this. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to get the article up so we can talk about it in a little bit more detail. So it says Manchester City issue legal warning letters with executive team holding significant confidence that they will beat the 115 charges. Now, you've seen some other content creators speak about having received some of these letters. We haven't received one here, maybe because we're not big enough, but I'll tell you one thing, and I say this sincerely, if Manchester City send me a letter asking me to stop talking about the charges, I will read that letter out on stream and say what the hell I want, because I don't like this. I don't like this. Now, this has been reported, so we have to just say reported, because we haven't yet seen one of these letters. But if they're starting to throw their weight around and they're starting to try and bully and intimidate people into not talking about it, I would suggest that we have every right to talk about it, because they have been charged with 115 charges. And yes, they are absolutely due to go through the due process and try to prove their innocence. But I feel like this is a case, once again, of them trying to control a narrative and trying to prepare the groundwork of this expectation that they will beat these charges. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I don't like that my fellow content creators are potentially being leaned on by Manchester City. I don't like it as a look, and I don't get it. I don't understand why they go after people, because if they're starting to go after people for just speaking about the charges, then they're going to have to go after every single person on Twitter, every single person on TikTok, It just feels like bully boy tactics to me, and it doesn't sit well. So I hope that the Premier League grow a pair here, because this is true. I don't like it. I don't like what this could signal. You know, this is Donald Trump type tactics right here. Just issue lawsuits everywhere. Anybody who says anything bad, just lawsuit. And I don't like it. And somebody has to stand up. So I hope that the Premier League, if this is true, start to step in here. Because yes, they're entitled to due process. Nobody's ever denied that. But it is fair and newsworthy for people to talk about charges that have been laid at Manchester City. So that's my take on it anyway. Print it and post it around town, said Christopher Dugarry. Now, look, I haven't received a letter, personally. There's been some speculation and some chatter that other content creators have, and there was even one account that suggested that La Liga president Javier Tebas had received one of these letters. That was a Manchester City fan account, I believe, that put that claim out there. And if he has received one, I would imagine that Javier Tebas would be fairly aggressive in his retort, knowing how he's reacted in the past to these type of things. Who got legal letters sent? Again, I don't want to say names because I haven't seen these letters personally, Evie. But there have been mention of them by a couple of content creators, shall we say, in recent bits of content out there. You probably know what I'm talking about. Wait until they affect the league. Bring it on, said Colin Brooks. They have something to hide, said Anthony Davis. Look, it's crazy to me. You know, this aggressiveness and threatening and throwing their weight around, it's newsworthy and everybody has a right to discuss it. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what an independent panel says. I don't care what Manchester City said. I'll never believe that they're innocent. You know, that is my personal opinion and I'm entitled to that opinion. And I've always said it's my personal opinion. Nothing is going to convince me that they haven't broken the rules because enough stuff has been shared, posted around, written about that suggests very strongly that there is something here to look into. So we're asking, loads of people still talking about the new kit. You know, we have got a poll up here asking, do you like the new home shirt? And it's really close. It's 51-49%. So far, 51% of you guys say no, you don't like the new home kit. And 49% say you do. So you can see, you're never going to please anybody, or everybody, excuse me, in these scenarios. You just aren't. You know, fashion is a very divisive thing. Fashion is a very personal thing. So what I'd always hope for with these things is that when they release the new kits, you like at least one of them. You know, if there's three, you know, I usually look for one that I like. And what I would also say as well is these things are often nicer when the real versions come out than the ones that you see shared around social media and stuff before the actual release. The truth hurts where it hits hardest, said Robbie. What's this one? Craig, Lucho's representatives are worse than Salah's. At least the narrative around Mo is that he is committed compared to that of Lucho's own dad, speaking every other week about he dreams of Spain. I know, it really bugs me, Harry. It does. Like, I like Lucho. I enjoy watching him play football. But it's very grating to hear his father constantly speaking about his son's dreams of going to Barcelona. He's at a damn good football club now. And he's going to be back in Europe's top competition next year if he stays with Liverpool. And I think Liverpool as a football club and as a fan base have been more than supportive of Lucho since he's come to the club. So, yeah, I do. It does. It's not good to hear. I don't like it, you know. And I guess if he can't get a move, that's when I become a little bit more concerned. You know, if nobody comes in with a suitable offer, I don't want anybody at the club who's unhappy either. But Liverpool have every right to ask or command a fee that they feel acceptable if they want to sell Diaz or if they agree to sell Diaz. The Joe Gomez one really surprised me. That, quite frankly, shocked me. I didn't think we'd hear about Joe Gomez potentially being considering his options. I hope that Joe stays because his versatility has been great for us this season. So one more little quick report about a potential or an interest from an outgoing player, and then we'll move on to talk about Michael Olise and some potential incomings. So an outlet in Turkey have claimed that Galatasaray now expect talks with Liverpool at the end of the season about trying to sign Ryan Gravenberch. There is a bit of a catch though in this report. They say Galatasaray would almost certainly require Champions League football to make this deal a possibility. For me, I don't understand why you would look to sell Ryan Gravenberch. He's had 1 year at the club with limited playing time. Why would we want to cash in? Now, of course, there is the elephant in the room here, which is Michael Edwards. Does he not like the signings that were made by Jurgen Klopp and his recruitment team since he left? Well, I guess probably not, because there's already been some murmurings that he wouldn't have signed Darwin if he was still in charge of transfers. But I don't like the idea of moving on Gravenberch. For 40 million quid, I think Ryan Gravenberch has shown more than enough that he could really come on at Liverpool and really progress. So I hope there's nothing to that story, and I hope that Ryan Gravenberch stays at the club because I think there's a lot more to come from him. The Gomez story shocked me, said Liz. Now Liz, I have to say it is just a report from Sam Maguire, so I've no idea, you know, of how strong that feeling is from Joe Gomez. But one thing I've definitely noticed over the past few days is there seems to be more of a negative spin around things Liverpool related that I don't like and we don't need. So I hope we can start to wrestle back this narrative as a club and I guess projecting positivity out there. And one way of doing that would of course be announcing Arne Slot. Starting to look towards positivity again. 2 home games left in the season, 1 away game. Let's try and get some victories. It's very easy for everything to become negative. But remember, just a month ago, we were talking about a possible amazing end to the season and Liverpool potentially winning the league or the Europa League. And yeah, it just shows you how quickly football, the whole world can change. Right, so on the kit, it's still exactly the same. 49% say they like the new kit, 51% say they don't like the new kit. DKH96 said, don't think there's anything to the Gravenberch one. There have been many stories linking Galatasaray with the move for Ryan Gravenberch. That wasn't the first story that's been doing the rounds. There have been quite a few. And on Hincapié, there's another story that says, no Liverpool contact over Bayer Leverkusen centre-back Piero Hincapié. This article said, we understand there's been no contact between Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen for their defender Piero Hincapié, despite reports suggesting otherwise. There is no £60 million bid being prepared by the Liverpool club. As of now, it looks like they will be shopping elsewhere for a new defender. And on that, let me just get to my notes. And a report that came out of Portugal, Record in Portugal, have said, due to Liverpool's interest in Gonçalo Inácio and Ousmane Diomande, Sporting Lisbon are now looking for alternatives in the market. The Portuguese side is ready to sell both defenders, with Liverpool showing an interest in both of them. We spoke yesterday about the centre-back situation, and most of you guys in the chat, if I remember correctly, were quite open to the possibility of Diomande and preferred the idea of Diomande over Inácio. And I'm quite happy to back up you guys on that. You know, I do think there'll be more of a fight for Diamande's signature this summer. You know, he's been linked to quite a few top European clubs. Less so for Gonçalo Inácio, who of course we've been long linked to. So keep an eye on that situation is what I would say. I do think we are going to go into the market for a centre-back, and if it's Diomande, I'm more than happy with that. So this one again coming out today, LFC Transfer Room posted this. Say Liverpool appeared to lead the race for Koop Meiners of Atalanta. They were very impressed with his performances against us in the Europa League. Juventus also interested, but they will find it difficult to compete against Liverpool, and they're very strong on him as well. But Liverpool are of course stronger financially with that Premier League money. So how do we feel about those two? Koop Meiners and Diomande and the other centre-back Inácio. Some people believe we don't have a need for Koop Meiners. Another thing that worries me about this link was one of the first stories I read about it said that he's the one Arne Slot wants to go after next, which again confuses the narrative of who is deciding on transfers. Is it Edwards and Hughes, or is the manager going to have a say in it? Or the new coach, I should say, have a say in it? I'm torn, because as I said yesterday, we're going to lose Thiago Alcantara. Some people say lose what exactly, but we're going to lose Thiago Alcantara in the summer. So I don't mind the idea of somebody coming into the club 26 years of age, but I'd probably prefer somebody a bit deeper lying and somebody a little bit younger, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm not sure how much we need Koop Meiners, unless there's a player or two moving on that I'm not sure of. Chelsea 2-0 up, by the way. Chelsea 2-0 up. Oh, Les Gifford has gone bold here. He said both defenders in, VVD out. Wow. That's a big shout, mate. Right. Now I'm going to move on to what you've been waiting for. So, report today from ESPN that said, or an ESPN journalist I should say, Liverpool have been credited with an interest in Crystal Palace's Michael Olise, particularly if Mohamed Salah does leave and Liverpool can offer Champions League football. Manchester United at this moment are considered frontrunners. So, on Olise, I think it's fair to say, and I don't want to speak for all of us, but I think it's fair to say, from a playing perspective, we all like him, right? I think most of us in the chat like him, but there are concerns, and I think very valid concerns around the injuries he's picked up this year. So for me, if you're looking to bring in a young, wide, fast player, and you see that they've had some hamstring injuries, that immediately is red flags for me, because you don't want an explosive player suffering with hamstring injuries. I mean, just look back to Michael Owen back in the day. If they start to lose that pace, then you could be in trouble. And this is happening seemingly at a very early stage of Olise's career. But if this is, let's just say, a once-off thing or a one-season problem, I'd have no problem with it. In fact, I'd love Olise at Liverpool. I know the club say if Mohamed Salah moves on, but I'd make an argument to say that even if Mo stays, we should be looking to increase competition and bring in another wide player. And Olise is definitely one of the ones that I would feel more than comfortable with coming into Liverpool. But I also agree with this report that Manchester United would be currently frontrunners. From my understanding, they've done a lot more groundwork on the Olise situation. Whether Liverpool having Champions League football would be enough to sway Olise, I don't know. I think, again, happy to be corrected on this, but I think you guys told me Olise's a United fan. Not that I guess, makes too much of an issue these days. You go wherever's best for your career at this point, and I think you can make a very valid argument that a move to Liverpool will be better for his career than a move to Manchester United. Particularly when you see what Manchester United loanee Jadon Sancho did last night in the Champions League. Incredible performance from Sancho and Borussia Dortmund, which kind of makes it look even worse on Manchester United, that they had this player who was capable of delivering performances like that, but he's been shipped out and is now in the Champions League semi-final 1-0 up going into the second leg. It genuinely just, for me, that would signal red flags if I was a player looking to go into United. He's had a hammy injury last 2 seasons, said Gumi. We love an injury-prone player for some reason, said David Newell. VVD's been terrible since the Arsenal game, said Hassan. Yeah, I don't disagree, mate. I think overall, if we look at the season in its entirety, I think Virgil has certainly been better than last year. I think we've seen more signs of Virgil getting back to what he was. But I do agree with you that there have been worrying times recently, and I don't know if... See, I'm struggling to figure out if it's the partner that's causing the problem for Virg. The lack of consistency of a right-sided centre-back beside him. It's gone between Kanade at times this season and Kwanzaa, both relatively inexperienced. So I don't know if it's Virgil or he's trying to do too much. But I do know I'm not happy with what we've been doing defensively recently, and that needs to change. Somerville from Leeds, Craig. Yeah, look, lots of chatter about Somerville from Leeds, but not too many more column inches written about it. Certainly, it seems Arne Slot is a fan, and I would imagine he's a player that Michael Edwards would look at as well. Obviously, not having the underlying numbers for what Michael Edwards have on Somerville, I'm kind of sailing blind on it. But I know a lot more about Olise, so I'd feel comfortable on it. But I do agree with a lot of the chat as well. I feel like it's more likely we see Olise at Old Trafford. But again, I would say if I was in his position and I was offered Liverpool or Manchester United right now, even with a new coach coming into Liverpool, I still feel like Liverpool's squad's in a better place. But, maybe the allure of Manchester United is something that will pull on Olise's heartstrings. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Yes, it is, and it's a stupid opinion. But speaking disrespectfully to me or anybody else in my chat like that, mate, isn't acceptable. So we'll start you off with a timeout. And if your attitude doesn't improve, Harry, then you will be removed from the chat. So you've no right to tell me or anybody else if an opinion is stupid or not. Because at least these people with these opinions that you might not agree with, at least they're contributing to the chat with something positive, which is an opinion, rather than just coming in to neg on other people. I think VVD plays better with Matip than Ibu, said Darwizi. So, actually on Matip, thank you for bringing him up, because I've seen a couple of column inches written and reading through a few fan forums and stuff where people almost want Matip to be given a new deal. I've got to say, I don't understand that. I have no problem saying that Joel Matip is more than good enough to play at Liverpool. But I am concerned that you're talking about a player who's naturally out of contract this summer and is coming back from an ACL at 33 years of age. I don't think that is sensible to offer a new contract. And it would worry me that if that is what Liverpool would look to do, that we're doing the cheap option once again. You know, for me, we need to go out there and invest in a few centre-backs. 2 probably. Kwanzaa, Kanade, Virgil, and 2 more. If Joe Gomez is still at the club, then maybe you could argue 1 more, but I still think we need to bring in at least 1 top-notch centre-back. And the idea of giving Joel Matip a new deal just feels like a cheap solution, if that's the one that indeed the owners look at. And it's not good enough. It's not good enough. You can't be putting your faith in somebody who's 33 coming back from an ACL. We know it took Virgil 18 months to get back to a level that he said he started to trust his body again. I don't know. Unless Joe Matip would be on considerably lower wages, it just feels like an unnecessary risk for me. Does a player get paid more if they are captain? I guess in theory, yeah, you would. I think at Liverpool and some clubs there is certainly a captain's box, I believe, that the player gets the option of having at Anfield. You would imagine a lot of players would want to be there or thereabouts. One of the highest paid players as the club captain, but we do know Mohamed Salah is Liverpool's highest paid player. So I guess that's up for your agent to negotiate when you go in. Matip has been phenomenal for us at the Facebook network, but yeah, I think we have to consider the business side of it with all the major changes coming up. I know, and it's not great. Like, you know, it's not nice to sit here and say, I think it's time to move Joel Matip on, because he's been a great servant to the club, and I hope that the club continue to help and aid Joel in his recuperation and in perhaps finding a new club. But I just don't think it's good business if you're to look at giving him a new deal. Like, same with Thiago, which obviously we aren't. You know, he's played 5 minutes of football this season. And that's not me trying to be smart. He has actually played 5 minutes of football for £10 million in salary. It's not great, is it? You know, that's a lot of money for a club that prides itself on being fiscally responsible. I know nobody can be responsible for Thiago being injured for the whole year. It's unlucky, but you wouldn't. I don't understand why you'd roll the dice again on a potential player with injuries like Matip. I don't get it. The best ability is availability. No thank you to Olise. I don't know. I'm sorry, mate. That could have just completely gone over my head, but I don't know what you mean by the best ability is availability. I think he has a buyout clause in his deal. At least he had in his last one before Palace renewed it. So I don't know, maybe if I've mistaken something from what you've said, but I think he will be available. Thiago was a huge loss, said DKH96. I agree. Look, I had an open mind when we signed Thiago Alcantara. I didn't expect him to be available to play every game. But I did think we'd have the ability to call on him for, let's say, 25 games in a season. And we could have really done with him at the latter stages of the Europa League. We could have really done with him at Old Trafford, let's say, the FA Cup. And we certainly could have done with him for some of the big head-to-head games in the league this season. So it's just been bad luck for everybody concerned that it hasn't worked out. But what we don't need to do is start to look at bringing in more injury-prone players to the club. So I think we need to be very careful. And do my notes out for an Arne Slot video that I'm hoping to make over the next day or two. One thing that kept coming up when I looked at what Arne Slot expects from his players is a really high work rate and to cover a lot of ground on the pitch, which, let's be honest, gives a nod to more youthful players. So I think we could probably expect to see the academy players trusted a little bit and some young, hungry players brought in by Edwards and Hughes. Oh, availability as in fitness. Thank you. Sorry, that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you, Reverend, for giving me the heads up on that one. That makes sense. What do you think the plan is with VVD? Said Virgil CC. I think Virgil and Mo will have a similar situation. I think both will be offered an extension on less money. Don't know how much less money. Don't know how either player would feel about it. But I can't fathom them getting the same money. I just can't. You know, they've got 1 year to go on their deal. Virg is going to be 32 this summer, 33. Salah will be 32 by the time the new season starts. If the club want to keep them around and give them an extension, I do agree that offering them less money is the right move. Whether they accept that or not, of course, is the player's choice. But I guess the problem comes in if they reject. So let's say Virgil and Salah both reject a potentially smaller contract or smaller wage terms. Then what do we do? Then I think we have a problem. So what I would do personally in that situation, if Virgil and Mo were unwilling, you'd again have to have a conversation with the player to see it. But my initial instinct would be to say, sell Salah then and let Virgil run down his deal. But then I'd have to ask myself, honestly, is he going to give everything? You know, is he going to leave it all out there on the pitch? Let's be honest. Nobody's saying none of these guys aren't professional, but I'm trying to look at the human aspect of this. If you had 1 year to go at Liverpool and you knew you were leaving on a free, would you potentially screw up any move by being full throttle in tackles? And I don't know. I really don't know. You know, you'd want to make sure, one, that you play well enough to secure that next move, but you also don't want to ruin that next move by potentially picking up an injury. So these situations worry me. And that's why I keep coming back to say, I don't know why we ended up here. I don't know how a club that hasn't learned the lesson about Firmino and Mane has let the situation get to this again. And it becomes even more disgusting when they've got to this situation with Trent. That really annoys me. This feels like somewhat arrogance to assume Trent is going to want to extend because he's a local. And maybe they're getting really positive signs from Trent's camp to say, look, this will be no problem, no brainer. And I hope that's the case. But it doesn't stop me from being concerned that we've again got to this position where, you know, 3 players who've had a very important role to play at Liverpool, 2 of them getting on in age, but we're left with 1 year to run on their deals. It's worrying for me. Hope we win on Sunday, said Troy King. So do I, mate. So do I. What do you think about Archie Gray, and do you think we will sign him? I think, look, every club in England and probably a lot of clubs in Europe are going to be looking at Leeds United's Archie Gray. I don't know what the plan would be if Leeds came up through the playoff, let's say, or, you know, pipped Ipswich to the second place finish. I don't know what would be the case. Would Archie Gray want to come up and play a season with Leeds United before, you know, maybe moving on? I don't know. I would imagine, though, I fully expect we've looked at him and are interested in him, but, you know, one thing Liverpool don't like to do and haven't liked to do over the years is get stuck into a bidding war. We always seem to walk away when it comes to those type of situations. So I wouldn't be holding my breath for Archie Gray to be coming to Liverpool, but he is certainly tipped to be one of the big prospects in the future of English football. Defacement Network, you're very, very kind, sir. Thank you so much for gifting 20 memberships, mate. Really kind of you. Thank you so much. Stevie Boy said, this coming summer transfer window has me worried. Hearing a lot of names and having FSG as owners, don't know what direction they will take. I think it's going to give us a big clue, Stevie Boy, as to the ambition of our owners. We all feel that Jurgen covered up some deficiencies, both in the squad and I think in the transfer business that we conducted. But I also think there's something to, how do I say this without trying to sound like I'm being negative to Jurgen? If you asked me who would I trust more to make a signing, Michael Edwards or Jurgen Klopp, I've got to be honest and say I'm on Michael Edwards' side of this, because I'm more of a person that would like to remove the emotion from it. And I think Jurgen has at times used emotion in decision making, particularly when it's around player extensions. Some players that I quite frankly would have thought it's time to move on, and he's shown too much loyalty to. So I think Jurgen has at times maybe been emotionally involved in this. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but when it comes to transfers, I guess emotions aren't really in it because Jurgen doesn't know the player potentially coming in yet. But I do still think that the signings made under Edwards speak for themselves. And since he's departed, there has been more signings that have still yet to prove their worth at Liverpool. You know, do I think Darwin Núñez would have been signed under Michael Edwards? I don't. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I don't think he would have. Do I think some of the other players would have been brought in, like Endo? No. Don't think Michael Edwards would have sanctioned the signing of Endo either. So for me, I'm kind of happy that Michael Edwards has got control of say in the transfers along with Richard Hughes. But what worries me and what I don't want to happen is it to be a case of cheapness coming to the fore again. You know, what I refuse to accept is Liverpool not being able to really go after their top targets and get them. And I think the owners need to step up and spend more money. I do, and I'm never going to change my opinion on that. I think they're cheap. Klopp's legacy, according to the world, is on the line, so Arsenal can't win. I don't understand that. I don't understand why everybody's so worried about what everybody else thinks about Liverpool, by the way. I don't give a shite what non-Liverpool fans think about Liverpool, because they've no interest in Liverpool being successful. So all this trying to undermine it. Like, here's something that often gets thrown around, right? Liverpool have one tainted COVID title. That's one thing you see thrown around. But they neglect to mention that we're about 25 points clear at that point. And we were walking to a league title. It's just so much stupidity trying to undermine what Jurgen has achieved. And it's trying to say things like, one league title in 9 years, and you're talking about that as a legacy. Well, yeah, look what we were up against. Look at the strength of that Manchester City squad and the consistency of that Manchester City team. And tell me that points tallies of 97 points isn't an impressive tally. I find it all very odd. People just undermine us because they don't like us. But I don't care about their opinion. Edwards did not do well after they sold Suarez, but not sure if he was in charge then. I'm working off memory, but I think Damian Kamoli was in charge of transfers at that time. Open to be corrected on it though. Will Arne Slot wear coats like Klopp, do you think? No idea. No idea, mate. Haven't got a clue. Craig, we were 4 games away from having 3 Champions League and Prems. I know. It's mad. And I still feel we left the Champions League on the table, if I'm being honest with you. But I don't understand how... Like, thankfully, journalists, to their credit, are certainly more than willing to talk about Klopp's legacy in glowing terms because, you know, they're realists. They see what Jurgen has done and where Jurgen took us from as well. So I think Jurgen Klopp's legacy at Liverpool Football Club is more than secure. And certainly it's been an anticlimax this season with the way we've been playing at the business end of the season. But I will only ever look at Jurgen with glowing respect. It doesn't mean if it was COVID or not, the team still had to win games. I know, Robbie. It's nonsense. It's just trying to undermine us, mate. We were dancing away with the league anyway, so we would have won it at a canter. Who do you want to see in the number 6 for Liverpool next season? It's a really, really, really good question, Bobby Dazzler, and it's one that I've been going back and forth with in my own mind over the last few weeks. And all I can say to you is, I fully believe we need to sign a new number 6. I just don't know who the right candidate is. But I am, again, willing to trust the club's judgment on it. I still stand over the fact I would have loved Caicedo. I know he's had a bit of a mare season at Chelsea, but I think at Liverpool things would have been different for him. I don't mean to undermine Endo, because he's been very helpful to us this season, but I still would feel going out there to bring in a 21 to 24-year-old defensive midfielder with a nice snidey attitude wouldn't go astray. I just don't know who that person is going to be. And yeah, we did a poll on the channel the other day, and the poll was won by Joshua Kimmich. We had 8 names that we did over 2 polls, and Joshua Kimmich came out on top. And he wouldn't be my ideal choice. I think we'd need somebody a little bit younger, personally. Oh my God, lads, the Kip poll is 50-50. Talk about divisive. 50-50, and I'm going to leave it running in the background, but keep voting on it if you haven't had your say on what you think of Liverpool's new home kit. This is it, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Let us know your thoughts on it. Do you like the new home kit? Yes or no? Who signed Ozan Kabak? That was Edwards' time, if my memory's right. But he was only signed on loan. We never signed Ozan Kabak. We didn't take up the option after the 6-month loan spell. Like, there's been some really stupid loans. Arthur Mello, that was never going to work. Again, I can't remember if Edwards had left or not at that point. But Ozan Kabak and Ben Davies, I'm fairly sure that was... I'm fairly sure that was Edwards. Do I like it? No, Jacob, I hate it. I hate it, mate. I don't know what the hell the colour is. I always like a pinstripe in a shirt, don't get me wrong. I just don't know what the hell that colour is. Would I say winning 1 Premier League in 9 years from an elite manager is a success? Yes, I would. Because imagine we didn't win it, right? Imagine Liverpool didn't win the league that year. Most likely, we're talking about Manchester City having won every league title then for the past, 7 years? Something like that? 6-7 years? Since Leicester City. So, I think what Liverpool were up against in an incredible coach in Guardiola, very well assembled and deep Manchester City squad. I think, yes, what Jurgen's done with less financial might in the transfer market, I think it's been incredible. Still feel we left a couple of trophies on the table, yes, but I think a European Cup, a Premier League, 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, a Club World Cup and a Super Cup is a pretty good legacy, especially when you consider how big the pressure was to deliver that league title. 30 years without a league title for a club like Liverpool is just not good enough. And they delivered it. But what I don't, and I refuse to allow to happen, not that I can have much say over it really, because FSG can't just say, that's it now. We've won it now. We don't, I want to see action from the owners. I want to see hunger, a real desire to continuously win. Why are people sleeping on Bajcetic? I don't think we're sleeping on him, James. We're just unsure of what next season's going to look like for Stefan, This season, we were all hopeful that we'd see Stefan push on because he was incredible for us last year. And I think no matter what happens, that 300 grand signing from Celta Vigo will look like an absolute bargain. But we also don't know where he'll be utilised by Arne Slot. Will he be part of a pivot or will he be utilised elsewhere? I don't know. And I also obviously don't know if this is the end of his injury concerns. I hope it is. It certainly looks like it's a growing issue. But I don't think anyone's sleeping on him, mate. We can't end up in a situation again where we talk about hypotheticals like Thiago's on the books, but he was no use to us this year, was he? So, I think we just need to make sure that with Arne Slot requiring so much output from his players, so much energy, so much work rate, we're going to need players who are robust. Is Klopp deserving of a statue of some sort? I think he's deserving of recognition. How that recognition is, whether it's a stand, a statue, gates, I don't know. But yes, absolutely. Jurgen Klopp took us from a club who were in and out of the Champions League and brought us back challenging and a very consistent run of Champions League football up until this season. So yeah, for me, and it's not just that, it's more what he's done for the whole city, for the vibe of the club, the energy of the club, the way the club is looked at in the world. He galvanised it, and I think that definitely deserves recognition. Now, what that recognition looks like, I guess, is for the club to decide. We were 7th place Premier League club. He took us from comparative obscurity to maybe the most famous club in England on the European level. 3 Champions League finals is simply elite. And don't forget about the Europa League final as well, mate. It's just such a shame this year that we couldn't finish up with Jurgen winning that Europa League in Dublin or the Premier League title. You know, that makes me feel angry. Not at Jurgen, just angry at the situation. We need a better defence so we can rest with the ball and not always chasing. Yes, so again, from my look into Arne Slot's system, a couple of things have stood out. And I've watched lots of other content creators and their videos. I've looked at Alice's video. I've looked at a few others as well. So one thing is for certain is we will be pressing from the front. We will be pressing with a high press, looking to win the ball back as quickly as possible. We'll also be playing with a high line, looking to condense the pitch, making it as small as possible. And one thing that I learned from watching Alice's video is that in possession, if our right winger in Mohamed Salah tucks inside to become an additional number 10, then the width will be provided on the far side by the fullback, who will be looking to get forward and create overloads in the final third. In possession, out of possession, Liverpool's one of their double pivot in the midfield will drop back in to basically give us a 5-4-1, giving us the ability to play with a low block. But yes, the emphasis will be on winning the ball back and on trying to make use of that possession. And taking a rest in possession, as somebody put it in the chat, is a very fair way of putting it as well. Now, an interesting thing again that I learned from watching Alice's very good video was that in the latter part of the season with Feyenoord, particularly in the 6-0 destruction of Ajax, they did play with a 4-3-3 system, which apparently is something he utilised in the latter part of his time at Feyenoord, which of course, as we know at Liverpool, is the system that we have played under Jurgen Klopp. Any news on Carvalho? No. Nothing new. You know, I think I'd be surprised if Carvalho stays. If it had have been the system that would have been played in a 3-4-3 as an example, then I probably would have seen a space for Carvalho under Ruben Amorim or maybe even under Alonso. I just don't know where he plays in the Arne Slot team. I just don't see it. So I think he could probably be expected to move on if the right offer comes in. Craig, the biggest important for slot 6 is availability. You've always got to be available for a pass in slot system. In that role, movement on and off the ball is important as well. Zubamendi is perfect, said Harry. So I'm still learning about Arne Slot's system, and I'm very grateful to all the other content creators, by the way, because I'm well aware of my own strengths and weaknesses. I'm somebody who makes content off the cuff. You know, I'm not good with structured content. So when I have to make a video about formations, reading off scripts and stuff, I struggle. I struggle massively. It takes me so long to do them. So I am very grateful to have great technical content creators that are able to break this down visually for us and teach. I've learned a lot watching videos over the last few days. Some of it, I think, a little bit too technical for us to need to know as fans, but nonetheless interesting. So I'm definitely still learning, mate. You know, I'm learning bits and pieces about what slot looks like, our system looks like, and then trying to figure out how that will look like with Liverpool players as well. It's you know what? It's given me a great understanding, though, of how lucky we are to have such a varied style of content creation out there. I'm definitely somebody that wouldn't fall into the category of making the technically tactical videos. I'm definitely more of a passion merchant who, you know, speaks about my own feelings and stuff. So yeah, I'm grateful, very grateful to those who were out there putting out those informative videos. Oh, we've seen a little bit of a swing in the jersey. It's now 51% people say yes, they do like the new home kit against 49% of people who say no, they don't. Craig, can you find out if he does zonal marking? Yes, I'm sure that'll be easy enough to find out, mate. What I will say is I hate zonal marking. It doesn't matter who coached it. Right from when Rafael Benitez was our coach, and I went to see Rafael Benitez do a masterclass show in the Bord Gáis Theatre in Dublin, where he spoke about and defended using a zonal system. But even then, I'm not convinced. I just think with a zonal system, a couple of things don't sit well with me. One, I feel like it absolves people of responsibility. I'm much more of a fan of old school. He's your man. If he puts the ball in the net, you're to blame. And also, I don't think when you mark zonally, it gives you good enough opportunity to realistically defend. You know, if somebody has a run at you into your area and gets a leap, they're going to outjump you. So there's lots of stuff about zonal marking that I don't like. Craig, he means if a player can play every game, it's worth more. Oh, we're going back to the stuff from earlier. Yes, mate. Yeah, spot on. Can we do a poll on Diaz? Yes, no problem, Podrick. So what do you want me to ask on the poll about Diaz? So yeah, let me know what way you'd like me to phrase that poll. On this one, it is mad though. Like, I'm very intrigued on this. I've never seen a poll this close for this long. So do you like the new home shirt? We'll end it there, but it is 51% of you guys say yes, 49% say no. So split right down the middle. Evening, Craig. Hope you're doing well, said Abdullah. Thank you, mate. I'm good. I'm always nervous when we go through these quiet periods as a channel. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week's been really quiet, and it makes me nervous. But I am also mindful that there's a lot of football on as well. And there's not much Liverpool news really at the moment. Right, so on the poll, what way do you want me to phrase it? Sell Diaz or not? Yeah, okie doke. No problem. So, 1 second. So I've phrased it a little bit differently. I've asked the question, should we sell Diaz if he wants to leave? Yes or no? So if he wants to leave, should we sell Diaz? So Liverpool have just tweeted the news that we are now officially qualified for the Champions League next season. So there you go. We are now officially in the Champions League next season. Thank you, Mark, for the heads up on that one. So we'll leave that poll up there for a while as well. Craig, have you seen the amount of injuries we have compared with Arsenal this season? And we're only 5 points. We've been really unlucky with injuries this season. I think, do you know what? In general, I think there have been more injuries this season across Europe than in previous campaigns. I'm sure I read something on that recently. And look, we've had our fair share as well, which to me just means even more so that we need to bring in young, hungry, energetic players, because the Premier League takes its toll, and with the amount of games you have to play now at the top level, if you're in European competition as well, it's never ending. And these players who are playing internationals aren't really going to get a break this summer if they're participating in the Euros or the Copa America. It's it's worrying. Somebody needs to give these guys a break and player protection wise, and it doesn't look like it's forthcoming anytime soon. Any system depends on everyone being on the same hymn sheet, and we have plenty of new players this season. May have thrown us defending set pieces a little bit. Yeah, but it's been a whole season, and our defending from set pieces is abysmal. You know, outside of Van Dijk, we just don't win enough aerially. We just don't. How much is our budget? I don't think we ever discuss budgets, mate. You know, from my understanding, and again, listening to Jurgen speak about this, it was always the case of there was never really a fixed budget. It was more a case of the transfer committee put forward X amount of players, and then the club looked at the situation, looked at the players' profile, price, wage demands, and asked, was there value in the signing, and was it a signing that Liverpool Football Club believe is worth what is being asked? So there's never really been talk of a budget. For me, I go into every summer window expecting the same, something around 40 to 45 million net spend after sales, which is historically kind of been in and around where we've been at. Craig, what signings do you think we should make? I think Gertrude and Olise. So I don't know much about Gertrude other than, much like Joe Gomez, he's a versatile player, can play across the back line, right age, 23 years of age, somebody who Arne Slot knows, obviously. But I would be cautious about looking too much back towards the Eredivisie. You know, I think that's one of the mistakes that Ten Lasso was made at United. So, yeah, I don't know if it's lazy journalism or if this is just the market that Arne Slot and his assistant are used to. I don't know. Right, do hit the like button for me, friends, if you haven't done so yet. Really do appreciate it. If you could take 1 second, hit that like button. Would I accept Xavi Simons? I would, but I don't understand why people keep mentioning his name. He's going to go back to PSG this summer, and we'll probably get a lot more game time now with Mbappe departing. So I don't think there's any chance of Simons coming to Liverpool or going anywhere. I think he's going straight back to PSG. Basically, it's like asking your mom for cash to buy something from the store. Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Why not bring Nat Phillips back? This is going to sound harsh because he's not good enough. He isn't. He's an honest defender, and at certain clubs, Nat Phillips' style of defence is more suited to us. He's not a defender who carries the ball forward. He's not a defender who can pick out a pass. And they are traits that Arne Slot wants from a centre-back. So, you know, with all due respect to Nat Phillips, I think, you know, he needs to move on somewhere and establish himself. He's 26 now, I think, and I just don't think he'll be at Liverpool. I don't think he's good enough calibre. Do I think Conor Bradley will be a starting right back next season? Unsure, because I don't know whether Arne Slot will look to do what Kloppo's doing now, which he does in his Feyenoord system of getting the fullback, and it could be either fullback, to tuck inside and provide an additional midfielder. So I don't know. I hope he's moved into midfield because I prefer Conor Bradley at right back, but again, it's just hypothetical stuff at the minute and I don't know the answer. Can I go over the Olise stuff? Yes, certainly, mate, no problem. So, on Michael Olise, this came from James Otley, who was an ESPN journalist, who said, Liverpool have been credited with an interest in Crystal Palace's Michael Olise, particularly if Mohamed Salah was to leave, because we can offer Champions League football. The piece goes on to say Manchester United are still considered the front runners for his signature. And I kind of agree with that as well. I've heard a lot of stuff about Manchester United being linked with Olise, but I'm also not displeased that we're linked with him because I think he's a good player. I do have concerns, as you guys have, about his injury record and those hamstring injuries, but you know, he's a very good footballer. So, this Diaz question looks like it's been pretty categorically answered. We said, should Liverpool sell Diaz if he wants to leave? And 80% of you guys have said yes, sell Lucho if he wants to leave. Interesting. I mean, look, I would say sell any player that wants to leave. Doesn't matter who they are. If you don't want to be at Liverpool Football Club, best of luck to you, off you pop. Liverpool should go about finding the highest transfer valuation fee they can get and move the player on. But I just don't like when it happens. I don't like that Diaz's father apparently just keeps banging on about Barcelona. Like, we're Liverpool Football Club. Your son's playing at one of the most historic, respected, well-supported football clubs in the world. I don't understand why that would never be enough for anybody, but I also understand that a lot of players coming from South America culturally and growing up would have looked at Spanish football and Real Madrid, Barcelona, and it being something that tempts them and pulls on their heartstrings. I understand that as well, but I just don't like when anybody doesn't think Liverpool is enough for them. What about Takafuse Kubo? Would you accept him? No. No. No, I wouldn't. Coutinho wanted to leave. We were the winners there. Yeah, we were. But the landscape was very different then, Brian. Barca were flush. And were throwing around money, crazy money. Like, they spent for Dembele. And they came in with us as well. Like, I mean, that was ridiculous money. And that money was reinvested incredibly well in Virgil van Dijk and Alisson Becker. So yeah, I don't expect Barca to come back in with a similar type of number for Lucho as an example. And I would ask the question as well, like, even if Lucho wants Barca and Barca wants Lucho, do they have the money? Can they put together an offer that works for Liverpool? I mean, we spoke before about the idea of, let's say, a swap deal. But one of the names mentioned by the chat was Frankie de Jong, who's on an unbelievable wage of about €750,000 per week or something ridiculous like that. I think he is by far the highest paid player in La Liga, and it's mad the money he's on. So that's a non-starter, because Liverpool wouldn't even entertain that type of a wage. I just wish it wasn't the case, because honestly I like Lucho. I like him as a player. I like his work rate and his attitude. Yes, he could probably brush up on his finishing a bit, but all in all, I do like him as a player. Andy Kirkman said, would you go out and buy Wirtz, Craig? Would I buy him? Yes, tomorrow, but he's not moving. Categorically, I can tell you 100% Florian Wirtz will not be leaving Bayer Leverkusen this summer. The club have come out and said that. Bayern Munich, who are probably those most likely to sign him, have even come out and briefed that it'll be 2025 before they would consider a move. And they look like they're in a bit of a situation at the minute, because Ralf Rangnick has turned down the opportunity to go back in there and manage Bayern Munich for a season. So I don't know if Bayern Munich still feel like in a year that they can go back in and get Xabi Alonso, but it certainly feels like they have big plans for 1 year down the line, and that Florian Wirtz is one of those players. Pro said he would take a wage cut. Would you, in his position? Like, let's be honest, if you're sitting there at Barcelona and you're on 700 odd grand a week, are you going to just take a pay cut? You're not. You're going to want your contract paid up and a loyalty bonus. And like, what Liverpool would offer him would be 25% of what he's currently on, maybe. Would Lucho even start for Barca at the minute? I would say he would, yeah. I would say he would. Would I be interested in somebody like Bakayoko? So I've always been honest, Joshua, and said that I don't know all that much about Bakayoko, but I do know that PSV Eindhoven are scoring for fun this season, and that he's been a huge part of that. If I'm right, he's a Belgian international, and we've been long linked with him. Like, before we even knew Arne Slot was coming in, Liverpool have been linked with Bakayoko for at least a year now. So no surprises there. But I just don't know enough about him to give you an opinion from me. But certainly he's somebody who has been spoken about in the media quite a bit, has been of interest to Liverpool. Would you be interested? I've done that one already. Craig, you name any manager who would be prepared to manage a club for just one season. I'll get you. I certainly wouldn't myself. I mean, looking at the Irish situation, I often think that the FAI have been tremendously disrespectful to John O'Shea, even at the way they've almost assumed that O'Shea will keep taking up these little short-term roles until they find the right manager. So I get where you're coming from, and no, I certainly wouldn't leave a job, and he's the Austrian national team coach, to go and manage for 1 year at Bayern. Nope, not a chance. What do you think should be our objectives next season? Get out of the Champions League, new group, hopefully progress to at least the quarters there, and qualify again for the Champions League the following season. That I think realistically should be the minimum aim for the next campaign. You know, anything on top of that in the league, especially as a bonus. Domestic cup competitions, I think always somewhat you have to have an element of luck in the draw in there as well, and fitness. But yeah, Champions League qualification and progression in the Champions League group for me, or out of the group into the knockout phases, will be a minimum. Brian, how are you, sir? Popping into gift 50. That's 70 memberships in total we've seen gifted on today's stream. Thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate you, mate. I've been keeping Brian up to date with all the Liverpool news via text messages and stuff today, because I know he's in work, so I don't want to be annoying him. So I've been keeping him up to date with all the bits and pieces. And again, incredibly generous, Brian. My friends, we're at 455 likes, so please do keep hitting that like button. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I've got a little bit of news. I don't know if it's good news, bad news. It's news. We are now listed up, so you can officially see that we will be at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool on August the 4th. I can now also officially confirm the ticket price for that show. It is the lowest ticket price we've ever been able to put together for a show. And if you want to come and see us at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool, the listing is up there, so you can register your interest and come back for tickets. But tickets are priced at just £15. That's £15. And it's an all ages event, so everybody's welcome to come along to the show. And it is going officially on sale on the 20th of May. But we are listed now up on the website if you want to go and have a look at it. And yeah. Hope to see you guys there. It's a show we're very much looking forward to doing, and we've put the tickets on as cheaply as we could possibly do at 15 quid. So yeah, hope to see you there August the 4th. I'm running the Toronto Marathon this weekend, so I apologise for being missing in action. Lauren, don't you ever apologise for doing that, my friend. You're a better person than me, Lauren. Yeah, God, I don't think there's any way you could get me to run a marathon. But best of luck to you, and I hope that you smash it. I'm sure you will. Have you seen the new Liverpool kit? Yeah, we have it here. There it is on screen there now. I don't like it personally, but we did run a poll earlier on, and it was pretty evenly split. 51% of people said that they like the kit, and 49% of people said they didn't like the kit. But what I don't like is the price point. So again, for those coming in late, I'm just going to read you out what James Pearce posted. The standard adult shirt is up 6.7% this year, from £74.99 to £80. The youth jersey is up 9.2% in price, from just under £55 up to £60. And the biggest rise, and the most disgusting of them all, is the infants kit, which has gone up 15.7% from just under £45 to £52 for an infants kit. James Pearce also said that Liverpool insist it's down to Nike cranking up the costs, and that they are selling the new 24-25 kit below Nike's recommended retail price. I don't really think that that's a good enough excuse from Liverpool, because ultimately you chose Nike as our kit manufacturers. The buck stops with FSG, and those prices are quite frankly disgusting. So is the kit, by the way, in my opinion, but I will not be sad to see the back of Nike. I won't. I've never liked the Nike stuff at Liverpool. Everything is about money for these days for the clubs, said Adriano. Craig, I don't think it's Diaz pushing for Barca. I think his dad wants to move away from Colombia to a safer place, but he wants to be in a similar climate. I mean, let me say this to you, Harry. If it was your dad or my dad, or, let's say me as an example. So I'm at Liverpool playing. Obviously, I'm tearing it up. I'm an amazing player of the season, Ballon d'Ors all over the shop. And my dad is out there going, oh, do you know what? I've always dreamt about Craig going to play for Barcelona. Yeah, I've always wanted that. I'd tell him to shut up, because he'd be destroying my legacy at Liverpool. He'd be destroying my reputation with the Liverpool fan base. So I don't really buy that as an excuse, mate. He's more than capable of telling his dad to shut up and stop talking crap and stop trying to destabilise the situation at Liverpool. Who is that on the kit? It's just a Nike model, mate. It's just one of the Nike models. Do you know what? We haven't spoke about Adebayo too much, the Fulham defender, who we've been linked to and has confirmed that he will be leaving Fulham when his contract expires at the end of the season. So that's another name to keep an eye on. The kit is rubbish. I don't like it. I don't like it either, mate. I think it's an abomination, quite frankly. I'd be happy to live anywhere where I'm not at risk of kidnapping. Fair, but he's in Liverpool now, and the club have been very helpful, from what I understand. But look, of course, safety for your family paramount. I totally understand that. But he's at Liverpool, you know, and I think it's fair to say, safe where he is now. Why can't his dad just move to Spain? That he's managing Lucho from Colombia. What's the difference? He'd be closer to England anyway. Fair point, Brian. Fair point. Look, if Lucho's dad knew Barcelona were about to come in with a £70 million bid, fair enough. But there's no indications that Barca have the money to make this move happen for his son. So thoughts on Kamara? I'm a big fan personally. Are we talking about the Aston Villa defensive midfielder? If we're talking about him, he was somebody at Liverpool had been mentioned to. Someone said my favourite Shelbourne player. Mate, I haven't got any idea about modern Shelbourne players. The last Shelbourne player I remember is Gagan. That's why I say whenever anyone asks me do I have a League of Ireland club that I support, I say I don't use the word support very much because I find I'll be disrespectful to those who are genuine fans. So I haven't got a clue, mate, in all honesty. I know Duffer's the manager and that's about it. So thoughts on Kamara? Big fan personally. We've been linked with him last summer, if it is Villa's Kamara you're talking about. But after that, I don't know. We need a DM in my opinion, and as long as we get a young, hungry player into that position that the club feel comfortable with, brilliant. Craig, is that a new start to the stream, the animation? No, we've had that animation for a while. I kind of flirt between different intros. We've got that animation that 442 made for us, so again, shout out to those guys. But we've got a few other ones as well. We'll change it up occasionally, Evie. Barca or Madrid? For me, Barca. Yeah, that Kamara, I think he's got a very high ceiling. I think we'll get him for 35 to 45 million. Well, as I said, we definitely kept an eye on him last summer. He was one of the names mentioned when we were looking at the likes of Caicedo and Lavia. Kamara was one, and I didn't know much about him at that point, I'll be honest with you. But again, I could understand if Liverpool's interest was still there a season on. Craig, who's your source for Olise? It is James Ollie of ESPN. That is so again, one, if I have information that is my information, I will always say it to you. But most of the time, when you see a title on the Anfield Agenda news stream, we are talking about newspaper stories and we discuss them. So on this one, it's James Ollie who said Liverpool have been credited with an interest in Olise, particularly if Salah were to leave. The Champions League football could be a help, but they say Manchester United are still front runners for the player, which again I would imagine is probably on the money. So yeah, it is again James Ollie. I'll be looking in the Italian league for a DM if what we saw against Atalanta. Well, not necessarily a DM, but Coop Miners from Atalanta has been mentioned quite a bit over the last week or so. There's actually a story here from two Italian outlets that said Liverpool appear to lead the race for Tane Coop Miners. They were very impressed with his performance against Atalanta. They go on to say Juventus are also interested, but they might find it difficult to compete against Liverpool, who are very strong financially. Please answer, do I want Kwanzaa to leave? Absolutely not. Not now. Why would I want Jarell Kwanzaa to leave? No way. Kwanzaa's 21 years of age. Has had a very, very good campaign with us. Yes, there's been some errors in it, but for a 21-year-old centre-half. Nah, man, I very, 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 very much want Jarell Quansah to be part of the squad. Heard we're looking at Trafford, the Burnley keeper. Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday, Patrick. Again, I'm going to see if I still have the link, mate, so I can tell you where that story came from. I think I do here. 1 second. Yeah, I do. Where is it? Where's the Trafford story from yesterday? Oh, have I deleted that? I've only got a bloody deleted it, haven't I? There was a story saying... Oh, there it is. I have it here. Liverpool transfer news. Liverpool linked with James Trafford as summer option. The piece says that Liverpool could move for the 21-year-old if one of our goalkeepers move on. No mention of a price in it, but yes, there was an article about Trafford. We've also been linked to, is it Pattinson, the Sunderland keeper? What happened to Lenny Yoro? He's probably going to move to either Real Madrid or PSG. They are the two clubs who've shown the most interest from what I've seen over the last couple of months. It was thought initially it was going to be PSG who were going to come in with a big money offer for him, but there's been some chatter about Real Madrid, although, again, I don't know the very latest on it. Craig, I liked the physicality and I think we lacked someone with an aggressive, no-nonsense edge. Yes, I love a snidey little shithouse in the middle of the park, mate. And I think, yes, we need an enforcer in the middle of the pitch. And the more I've thought about this, the more I also agree that we could do with a little bit of height in there. So, you know, I'd like a defensive midfielder about 6 foot, if possible. Greetings from Chile. Welcome in, Rodolfo. Lovely to have you, my friend. Hope life is treating you well. What have we got here? So 210 Records, how are you, my friend? Said, I think a few will go this season. Klopp, Salah, Alisson, Verge. So on Verge, actually, it looks like there was a story about... Where's this one? Where's this story? Okay, so Anfield Sector posted about this and said, believe a lot of the Alisson leaving rumours have stemmed from a house being for sale that isn't actually his. For context, it's a house he was renting and moved out of 6 months ago. I believe that's where the rumours originated from. So that's one version that was posted. And I hope there's no truth to the Alisson departing rumours because, as I keep saying, best goalkeeper in the world in my opinion. So Mats Wiefer, that name is one that I think Alice mentioned in her video as well. Do you know what's weird? I talk about Alice quite a bit now because somebody's introduced me to her content, but I've never spoke to the lady. So if you are watching Alice, great content, keep it up. And thank you for the informative video, especially around the situation with Arne Slot as well. It's taught me a lot, it really has. And in that video, she mentions Mats Wiefer as somebody she think will be perfect for the way Liverpool want to play with Arne Slot and in the position that we need. So I don't know much about him, you know. So I'm relying on you guys to let me know if you think he's good enough or not. Why get Trafford when we have two good youth keepers? They might not be ready, I guess. You know, if Kelleher stayed on another season or so, then I don't think Liverpool would probably be in that much of a rush. But with Pitaluga over at Pats and Yaros, I don't know if they're ready for the next step or not. I guess the coaches will know that, but I don't know what the coaches believe their progression has been like. Alice is brilliant at what she does. She is. A couple of little things as I would like to mention to her that I think could improve what she does a little bit. I think, how do I say this? Alice is obviously very, very technically knowledgeable about how she speaks about the situations, but sometimes I feel slow it down a little bit and remember that the rest of us aren't as technically proficient as Alice clearly is. So when I was watching the video earlier on, there were times where I wish it was just a little bit slowed down with a little bit more emphasis on the fantastic knowledge that she clearly has. That would be one little critique from one content maker to another, but critique's probably not the right word. Just dumb it down for some of us tickos. It's probably the best way I'd say it. Craig, we use zonal marking to good effect for a long time under Klopp, probably pulling his hair out more than anybody. Oh, it's gone bad. If you sign new players and look weaker, surely possible factor. I just think we need somebody who's going to be able to come in and be a partner for Virgil van Dijk for 30 of those 38 league games, minimum. And the chopping and changing between two relatively young centre-backs, both 21, 22 years of age in Kwanzaa and Kanade, hasn't helped. And I'm very concerned about how we've gotten to this point with Kanade. Like, what's gone on recently that seems to have dented his confidence somewhat. He doesn't look the same player for me that we seen last year or even at the start of this campaign. Can we play Spurs every week? Big up, Craig. 2-0. Fidget. I know nobody wants that Champions League spot, mate. It's mad, isn't it? Nobody seems to want to grasp the Champions League spot this year. By the way, it was confirmed yesterday that the 2 extra Champions League places after Dortmund's victory will be going to Italy and Germany. So, actually, funnily enough, Dortmund could have just helped themselves by beating PSG yesterday because they're currently in 5th place in the Bundesliga, meaning that they would be the benefactors of that extra Champions League spot. So it won't be going to the Premier League. We've managed to basically shit the bed on that one from being in a very strong position to the clubs, us included, just falling away in Europe. So, top 4 for the Champions League now for the Prem, 5th Europa League, as it sits, 6th Europa Conference League, and I'm praying that United get into the Conference League because that would just be funny. Do I know who the ref is for the Liverpool game? Yes, it's Tierney. So I have a theory about this, right? I wonder. Look, call me whatever you want. I have a theory. I feel like they're just trying to get one last dig in at Jurgen, because I don't think it's an accident that we might see Jurgen's second last home game with Tierney as the referee, possibly tempting Jurgen into saying something. And if he did say something, possibly leading to a touchline ban that may well see Jurgen not be able to be on the sideline for his last game at home as Liverpool manager against Wolves. So I hope, and I'm sure Klopp will not say anything to him, but I don't know if I was in Klopp's position if I'd be able to bite my tongue, because he has been, in my opinion, probably the worst culprit of referees since Jurgen has come to the club for Liverpool. And again, it's like they want to piss us off when we play Spurs, as if they didn't shaft us enough in London with the disallowed Diaz goal. Now they've gone and put him in for the Paul Tierney in for the Spurs game. I'm done with the PGMOL. Honestly, I'm done with them. That's a bit far-fetched. Answer me this, then. Why is Tierney refereed way more Liverpool games than any other referee? Look at Paul Tompkins' work on this, and you'll see he's been appointed to more Liverpool games than other referees, or he's refereed Liverpool more times than other clubs. I think it's very easy to build a case for the prosecution here on this one. And look, it could be far-fetched, but if I was in Jurgen's position and I'd seen the appointment, I can't say that one of the first things that would go through my mind wouldn't be they're trying to set me up here. But that's just me, and maybe it is far-fetched. What's the news manager-wise? Still waiting, Andre. Still no official announcement of when we will see the RNA slot reveal. Lots of teasing that it was going to be this week, but as of yet, I don't know. Mate, I don't know what to expect. McAllister's up for goal of the month as well for his goal against Sheffield United, and Allison is up for save of the month for a save against Crystal Palace. That's other news. The Palkovic said, Paul's work on Tierney almost made me cry out of anger and sadness. Swilko, I'm going to report your comment, mate, because it deserves reporting, because it's scummy and you know what you're saying when you said it. So, again, be better. It's disgusting. Let me just post this. Okay, there's a report gone in. It's disgusting, mate. Disgusting. You're not funny. It's not clever. You're just a pathetic little creature. And you wouldn't say that to anybody associated with Liverpool Football Club or anybody from the city of Liverpool in person, mate. I don't know why you think you get the ability to hide behind a fake username and say it. You wouldn't do it in person, let's be honest. What did he say? It doesn't matter. It wasn't aimed at me. It was aimed at the club, Scousers. You know where I'm going with it. I'm not going to read out his comment. So yeah, on that work, about Paul Tompkins on Tierney, it's incredible, isn't it? Like yourself, I've read through it all, and the statistics very much do point to a picture that we don't get very many decisions when Tierney's in charge. Craig looked at Matt Threefer on FBrief or FB Ref. His top percentiles for all the relevant stats. For DM, kills Endo, but of course the league's a step up. Be very interested if Edwards is keen. I mean, again, I don't mind one or two players coming in, but I am also very mindful of the step up, like you've said yourself, from the Eredivisie to the Prem. Sometimes it's no problem for players, other times it's a gulf in class. So I'm sure that the club will do their research on whomever they bring in, but I don't know. I want this summer's window to be open, and I want to see how we're active, and I want to see the situation with Virgil, with Salah, and with Trent resolved quickly. What about City and the content creator? I've already discussed that earlier on in the stream, Simon. Yeah, I've already given my take on the whole stuff earlier on. Dutch League, hardly any good players from there recently, and Wiefer was destroyed by Roma. So, Russell, I have no idea, mate, on Wiefer. As I've said earlier on, I don't know much about the guy. I'm trying to think on recent successes coming from the Eredivisie, and I think it's fair to say Lisandro Martinez, without injuries at United, would be considered a relative success for the players that Ten Hag has brought in. I would certainly look at him and think, he's good enough. Other players coming in from the Eredivisie in recent times, I'm struggling to think of any real successes. I mean, you've seen players go over there on loan and come back. Obviously, Mason Mount went over to the Netherlands, came back, went to United. Was that a success? I don't know. Wasn't he a Vitesse Arnhem, if I think correctly? Alvarez to West Ham has done well. He's done okay, I guess. Cody Gakpo to Liverpool. I mean, I think he's done relatively well. But it is still, I guess, jury out on the longer success or failure of Gakpo. But I'm more than happy with Gakpo at the club. Suarez to us, yeah, but that's not really recently. If we're talking about Luis Suarez, we're going all the way back. We're talking, I think Russell was talking about more, last few years. Kudus, yes. Kudus is certainly, Frankie de Jong didn't come to the Premier League, mate. Kudus is, and that's what we're discussing. Sorry, that's probably sounded rude. I didn't mean it to. We're discussing more on the Prem, I think. Yeah, Kudus, certainly somebody who I think I would take tomorrow as well at Liverpool. Kudus is definitely a good show for one that's worked. Studley, evening mate, how are you? Craig, I'd be surprised if Liverpool raid the Dutch league with Edwards and Hughes overseeing the transfers. I agree. You know, there will be one or two players, I'm sure, that Arne Slot would like them to look at and will think have the right traits and character to come to Liverpool and be a success. But I don't want to fall into the trap, or us to fall into the trap of doing what Ten Lasso did, which is over-relying on the knowledge of the Dutch market. What is Alice's channel? Off the top of my head, mate, I don't know, because there's two different ones. I can't remember. Somebody in the chat will know. I have a bookmark, so I just go back and watch. But I don't know the name of the channel, because it's not like Alice Talks Football. I think that was one of them, but there's another channel. That's it. ECILIA Football is her channel. There you go. ECILIA Football. Yeah, that's the one. Raid South America, that's where it's at. I agree, but sometimes you've got a problem with work registration and visas if you're bringing players in from South America. They have to pass the point system. Oh yeah, it is Alice backwards. Haha, how did I never cop that before? Oh my god, I'm such a dope. You're right, yeah, it's Alice backwards. I never copped that, lads. See, these are some of the real glaring, obvious things in life that I just don't realise. For instance, I didn't realise Amex was American Express. I didn't realise Banoffee got its name from banana and toffee. These are all things that Dum Craig doesn't grasp. So yeah, there you go, it's Alice backwards. There you go. Make loads of sense. She's a United supporter. Yes, she is, but she's a very good content creator, and she certainly she knows her onions, as I say. Craig, why don't you think fans do enough to fight back against the PGMOL? So, to some extent, I feel like they feel like it's a losing cause. And I think also the tribalism aspect of these decisions week in and week out stop fans potentially from seeing the real bigger picture on it. You know, we only really look inwardly. We look at what affects us week in and week out. So I think if we can get to the situation where fans look at the wider picture, and I think there is some movement to suggest that fans just aren't happy with how VAR has been implemented by the Premier League and the quality of the officials. So do you know what got me, again, looking at the Mic'd Up show? And if I've missed this, I apologise, but can anybody answer why nobody has asked Howard Webb why the VARs are looking at penalty incidents, handball incidents, red card incidents in slow motion? When last time I read the protocols for VAR, the only time one of the only times, and there is a limited section that they're supposed to use slow motion, is to decide if a foul started in or outside the area, as an example. So if you need to slow it down to see what the initial contact was at the edge of a penalty area, then you go to slow motion. But every replay now is slow motion, and it shouldn't be, because it looks more intentful, whether it's a handball, a foul, or whatever. This looking at it in slow motion stuff needs to stop, because that's not how the game is played. The game's played in real speed. Decisions happen in real time. And nobody seems to speak about it. It does my head in. And also this ref going over to be met with a frozen image of the worst point of a challenge or a handball. Stop it. Rewind it back and show the ref in full speed from 3 or 4 different angles and let him make up his mind. And if he can't make up his mind, then it's clearly a decision that's still subjective. But slowing it down frame by frame, it makes everything look more intentional. So I don't understand how nobody's pulled them up on that, because the last time I looked into the protocols, that's what it spelled out, that it was only to be used in instances where there was a couple of different instances, but one of them I remember was if it was on the edge of an area, or to see if a ball goes out of play at a certain frame and stuff like that. Do you think Mason Mount would have done better signing for us as opposed to United? No. And I never, ever, ever wanted Mason Mount when we were linked with him. So yeah, I'm glad we didn't get him. Do we win or lose against Spurs? Well, I'm recording the preview tomorrow, so I guess you'll find out then. What am I going to predict though? I've got to predict a win, man. I've got to. Second to last home game for Kloppo. I've got to believe we're going to start to turn it around and have a decent end to the campaign. This live channel is brought to you by what? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about there, Michael. There's been no reading out to say this live channel has been brought to you by anything today. Do I think Olise is a good, productive move for us? From a playing standpoint only, yes. From the injuries around his hamstring, I do have concern. Because if hamstring issues are prevalent this early in his career and he relies on that explosive pace, you know, it could be a problem moving forwards. Sorry. If I could buy one of Hincapié, Inacio, or Gay, who would you choose? Gay. But I like Diamonde. And again, to go back to this article from earlier on, where is it? 1 second. Coming out of Portugal, said Liverpool's interest, or due to Liverpool's interest in Gonçalo Inácio and Ousmane Diamonde, I nearly said Dembele, Ousmane Diamonde, Sporting are now looking for alternatives in the market. The Portuguese side are ready to sell, and Liverpool interested in both defenders. But of the ones you mentioned, I'd probably go for Mark A of Crystal Palace. What's your favourite takeaway and what do I order? I'm kind of growing out of takeaways as I get older, to be honest with you. What do I order? I'll probably get a pizza, in all honesty, and I get a margarita because I'm boring. Wolves on the final day. Curse is so annoying. I don't know. Wolves last day feels like a reasonable enough game. Doesn't matter. Whatever happens on the last day, it's going to be about celebrating Klopp. That's it. You know, that's what the last day of the season is going to be about now. We've got Champions League football confirmed. I'm sure we'll finish up in third place anyway. So, yeah, we've got to just make sure we get a good atmosphere and send Kloppo off with a fond farewell. Thought I liked Indian. Never once, ever said I liked Indian. In fact, I think I've said many times I don't eat Indian takeaways, mate. So, no, definitely never said I've been a fan of Indian. No. PGMOL are looking to bring in refs, mics, and VAR decisions are going to be heard by the crowd. So, they're looking to, Ian, but IFAB, who are the football lawmakers, are against what the PGMOL have asked for. So there is a bit of a standoff at the minute over that. I think Howard Webb and the PGMOL do want to announce these decisions, but I think IFAB are against it. And IFAB are the people who are the lawmakers for football. Love you, Craig. Great content. Good job. Thank you, and thank you. Can I please tell us the Olise news? Yes, ESPN journalist has said that Liverpool are... Where am I again for you? ESPN journalist James Ollie said Liverpool have been credited with an interest in Crystal Palace's Michael Olise, particularly if Mohamed Salah were to leave and they can offer the player Champions League football. The piece then said Manchester United are considered the front runners at the moment. So that is where we're at with regards to Olise. I think there's been links as well, as I mentioned earlier, to Galatasaray and Ryan Gravenberch. I don't think Liverpool should be looking to sell Gravenberch personally, but there have been links over the last couple of weeks for Liverpool and Ryan, or Liverpool and Ryan departing to Galatasaray, I should say. Right, I'm going to say goodnight to you all, and I will see you tomorrow, 8:30, same time, same place. The preview will be coming out tomorrow afternoon. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Appreciate you as always. And yeah, all eyes now towards Sunday in the weekend and the third last game of the Jurgen Klopp era. So appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Don't forget, do drop a like if you haven't done so. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our clips channel, Anfield Agenda Clips, and I will catch up with you soon.